Pizza. Just saying the word probably makes your mouth water. Whether you're thinking about a thin-crust New York slice, a deep-dish Chicago masterpiece, or a traditional Neapolitan pie hot from a wood-fired oven, pizza has become more than just food. It's a global language of comfort, community, and pure deliciousness. But how did a simple flatbread topped with tomatoes and cheese become the world's most beloved dish? The story of pizza is far more complex and fascinating than you might imagine. It's a tale that spans thousands of years, crosses continents, involves ancient empires, medieval trade routes, royal courts, immigrant communities, and even World War II soldiers. From its humble beginnings as survival food for the poor to its current status as a multi-billion-dollar global industry, pizza's journey reflects the broader story of human civilization itself. Today, Americans alone consume over 3 billion pizzas annually. That's roughly 100 acres of pizza every single day. Pizza establishments now make up approximately 17% of all restaurants in the United States. But this wasn't always the case. In fact, just 80 years ago, most Americans had never even heard of pizza, and those who had considered it a strange ethnic food eaten only by Italian immigrants. So how did we get from there to here? Let's dive into the incredible, cheesy, and sometimes surprising history of pizza. Ancient origins, the foundation of flatbread. The story of pizza begins not in Naples, but in the ancient world, where human civilizations first discovered the magic of bread. Archaeological evidence suggests that humans have been making primitive flatbreads for over 7,000 years. In Sardinia, French and Italian archaeologists discovered bread baked over 7,000 years ago, with evidence suggesting these ancient bakers even understood leavening processes. But it was the combination of flatbread with toppings that would eventually evolve into pizza. This innovation appeared independently across multiple ancient civilizations, suggesting that the human desire to improve upon basic bread is truly universal. In the 6th century BCE, Persian soldiers serving under Darius the Great developed a remarkably pizza-like dish. Using their battle shields as makeshift ovens, these warriors baked flatbreads topped with cheese and dates. This early combination of bread, dairy, and sweet toppings represents one of the earliest documented examples of what we might recognize as pizza's ancestor. The practicality was genius. Their shields doubled as cooking surfaces, and the resulting meal provided essential calories and nutrients for long military campaigns. Ancient Greece contributed significantly to pizza's evolutionary tree. Greek citizens created a flatbread called plakos, literally meaning flat, which they flavored with herbs, onions, cheese, and garlic. The Greeks also made placenti, pastries of flour, cheese, oil, and honey that were often topped with fruit purees and used as sacrificial offerings to the gods. The 2nd century grammarian Athenaeus of Naucratis documented these dishes, providing some of our earliest written records of topped flatbreads. The Romans, never ones to ignore a good culinary innovation, embraced and refined these flatbread traditions. They created panis focaccius, bread of the hearth, which would eventually evolve into modern focaccia. Roman writers like Cato the Elder documented circular flatbreads topped with herbs and olives, while Virgil wrote about similar dishes in his epic poetry. Perhaps most intriguingly, archaeologists have recovered cooking utensils from the ruins of Pompeii that could have been used to make pizza-like dishes, meaning these tools were in use at least until Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 CE. Some scholars even point to a scene in Virgil's Aeneid, where the Trojans eat round cakes topped with vegetables as an early literary reference to pizza-like food. Roman soldiers consumed flatbreads topped with various ingredients, including cheese spreads called meritum and fruits. One variety called adorea, or libum adoreum, was made with wheat, honey, and oil, a recipe that wouldn't seem entirely out of place in a modern artisanal pizzeria. These ancient traditions established the fundamental concept that would eventually become pizza. Flatbread serves as both plate and food, while toppings provide flavor, nutrition, and variety. This brilliant insight would echo through centuries, eventually reaching the bustling streets of medieval Naples. The medieval connection, trade routes, and cultural exchange. As the Roman Empire declined and medieval trade networks emerged, flatbread traditions persisted and evolved across the Mediterranean. During this period, the foundations for modern pizza were quietly being laid through cultural exchange, technological innovation, and the gradual development of ingredients that would prove essential. The word pizza itself first appeared in documented form in 997 CE in Gaeta, a city just north of Naples, where a son of a lord promised pizza to a local bishop as yearly tribute. The term subsequently appeared in various documents throughout central and southern Italy, though its exact etymology remains debated. Some scholars suggest it derives from the Greek pita, others from the Lombardic bizo, meaning a mouthful, and still others from the Latin pincere, meaning to pound or stamp, referring to the action of working pizza dough. Medieval monasteries and noble courts played crucial roles in preserving and developing culinary traditions. Monasteries, with their focus on self-sufficiency and their networks spanning continents, served as centers of agricultural innovation. They maintained herb gardens, developed preservation techniques, and often hosted travelers who brought news of distant culinary traditions. The medieval spice trade, though focused primarily on valuable seasonings from Asia and Africa, also facilitated the movement of food concepts and cooking techniques. Arab traders, who controlled much of the Mediterranean spice trade, brought their own flatbread traditions, including various types of seasoned breads that would influence European cooking. Medieval trade routes connected diverse cultures, allowing food traditions to cross borders and evolve. By the late medieval and early modern periods, flatbreads, cakes, and pastries eaten with toppings were common throughout the Mediterranean region. Spanish, French, and Italian territories all developed their own variations of topped breads. The crucial ingredient that would transform these medieval flatbreads into recognizable pizza was still missing, however. That ingredient, the tomato, wouldn't arrive in Europe until Spanish conquistadors brought it back from the Americas in the 16th century. The Tomato Revolution. New World meets Old World. The tomato's journey to European tables represents one of history's most significant culinary revolutions. When Spanish explorers first encountered tomatoes in Mexico and South America in the early 16th century, they brought seeds back to Europe. However, the tomato's acceptance was far from immediate. Many Europeans initially viewed tomatoes with suspicion and fear. The fruit belongs to the nightshade family, which includes several poisonous plants, leading many to believe tomatoes themselves were toxic. Upper-class Europeans were particularly wary because they often ate from pewter plates, and the tomato's acidity would leach lead from the pewter, causing lead poisoning. This association between tomatoes and illness persisted for decades. The tomato likely reached the Kingdom of Naples in Sicily, then part of the Spanish Empire, through either Pedro Alvarez de Toledo in the 16th century or Viceroy Manuel de Amat, who may have gifted seeds to Neapolitans in 1770 on behalf of the Viceroyalty of Peru. Regardless of the exact route, southern Italy's climate proved perfect for tomato cultivation. It was the poor of Naples who first embraced the tomato. Unlike the wealthy who could afford to be choosy about their food, the working classes were more willing to experiment with new ingredients. They began combining tomatoes with their traditional flatbreads, creating the first recognizable ancestors of modern pizza. By the 18th century, Naples had become the epicenter of pizza innovation. The city was experiencing rapid population growth as rural poor flocked to the port city seeking work. This growing urban working class needed cheap, quick, portable meals, exactly what flatbread topped with tomatoes, oil, and garlic could provide. Street vendors began selling these topped flatbreads from carts and stalls throughout Naples. The pizzas were often sold by the slice, with vendors calling out "pizza, pizza" to attract customers. Prices were scaled to affordability. You could tell the vendor how much money you had, and they'd cut you an appropriately sized piece. These early Neapolitan pizzas were simple affairs. The most basic version, called marinara, consisted of tomato, oil, garlic, and oregano, named not for seafood but for the marinari, seafaremen, who ate this inexpensive meal. Another popular early variety included small fish or anchovies as toppings. The pizza remained food for the poor, sold on streets and considered beneath the notice of respectable society. This would change dramatically with a single royal visit in 1889, the Margherita legend, royal approval, and national identity. The most famous story in pizza history revolves around Queen Margherita of Savoy and her 1889 visit to Naples. According to legend, the Queen, tired of French cuisine during her southern Italian tour, requested to try the local specialties, including pizza. 3 different pizzas were prepared for her by Raffaele Esposito, a prominent Neapolitan pizzaiolo. The Queen reportedly preferred the pizza topped with tomatoes, mozzarella, and basil, ingredients that coincidentally match the colors of the newly unified Italian flag, red, white, and green. This pizza was subsequently named Pizza Margherita in her honor. This story, while romantic, has come under scholarly scrutiny. Food historians now suspect the tale may have been crafted decades later as a marketing device. The timing seems convenient, occurring just as Italy was working to forge a national identity following unification in 1861. The story perfectly combines regional pride, royal approval, and patriotic symbolism. However, whether or not Queen Margherita actually ate pizza in 1889, her alleged endorsement had real cultural impact. The story helped transform pizza from poor people's food into something that could be enjoyed by all social classes. It provided pizza with a creation myth that emphasized its Italian origins and national significance. More importantly, the Margherita pizza itself, regardless of its origin story, established a template that would prove enduringly popular. The combination of tomato sauce, mozzarella cheese, and basil created a perfect balance of flavors that would eventually conquer the world. The Great Migration, pizza crosses the Atlantic. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw massive waves of Italian immigration to the Americas. Between 1900 and 1910 alone, over 2 million Italians arrived in the United States, with many settling in major cities like New York, Boston, and Chicago. These immigrants brought their food traditions with them, including pizza. However, pizza's arrival in America is more complex than simple immigration. Recent research by pizza historian Peter Regas has revealed a forgotten generation of late 19th century Italian pizza makers who arrived before the commonly accepted timeline. His research suggests that Filippo Milone may have been one of the earliest pizza pioneers in America, possibly establishing pizzerias in multiple New York locations, including the famous Spring Street location later associated with Gennaro Lombardi. The traditional story credits Gennaro Lombardi with opening America's first pizzeria in 1905 at 53½ Spring Street in Manhattan's Little Italy. However, Regas's research indicates that Lombardi, who arrived in America in 1904 as a 17-year-old laborer, likely began working at an existing pizzeria rather than founding one. Regardless of the exact details, what's clear is that by 1905, pizza was being sold commercially in New York City. These early American pizzerias served traditional Neapolitan-style pies to predominantly Italian immigrant communities. The pizzas were often sold as tomato pies, wrapped in paper and tied with string for factory workers to eat during lunch breaks. Early American pizza had to adapt to local ingredients and tastes. Wood-fired ovens were often replaced with coal-burning ovens, which were more practical in urban American settings. Buffalo mozzarella was unavailable, so pizzaiolos used regular cow's milk mozzarella. These adaptations began the process that would eventually create distinctly American pizza styles. Notable early pizzerias included Lombardi's in Manhattan, which received official recognition from the Pizza Hall of Fame as America's first pizzeria. From Lombardi's, pizza-making knowledge spread as employees left to open their own restaurants. Anthony Totano, Pero left to establish Totano's in Coney Island, while others opened John's Pizzeria in the West Village. Outside New York, pizza was establishing footholds in other Italian immigrant communities. In Trenton, New Jersey, Joe's Tomato Pies opened in 1910, followed by Papa's Tomato Pies in 1912. These New Jersey establishments developed their own style, often called tomato pie, which featured cheese underneath the sauce. Despite these early establishments, pizza remained largely unknown outside Italian-American communities. Most Americans had never heard of pizza, and those who had often needed explanations of what it was. A 1939 New York Herald Tribune column felt it necessary to define pizza and explain its pronunciation as pizza. This limited awareness would change dramatically due to an unexpected catalyst: World War II. The turning point. World War II proved to be the pivotal moment in pizza's journey from ethnic specialty to American mainstream food. The war brought hundreds of thousands of American soldiers to Italy, where they encountered local cuisine firsthand during the grueling Italian campaign of 1943 to 1945. The Italian campaign was one of the war's most challenging operations for Allied forces. Over 300,000 soldiers would be killed or wounded before the Germans were driven from the peninsula. Soldiers often had nothing to eat but government-issued combat rations designed for caloric density rather than taste. These rations weren't meant to be consumed for extended periods and lacked essential vitamins and nutrients. Hungry and exhausted soldiers began seeking alternatives in local Italian cuisine. They discovered pizza being sold by street vendors and in small pizzerias throughout southern Italy. Unlike their bland military rations, pizza offered intense flavors, fresh ingredients, and satisfying substance. The soldiers' enthusiasm for pizza crossed all ranks. Historical accounts mention that everyone from the lowliest private to Dwight D. Eisenhower developed a taste for Italian food, particularly pizza. The future president himself would later praise Italian cuisine he'd experienced during the war. Soldiers also discovered oregano during their Italian service, a herb that was largely unknown in American cooking before the war. Oregano grew abundantly in southern Italy, where it was used liberally on pizzas and other dishes. American GIs fell in love with this pizza herb and brought cravings for oregano-flavored foods back home. From 1948 to 1956, oregano sales in the United States rose by over 5,000%. When these soldiers returned home after the war, they carried with them vivid memories of Italian flavors. As they settled into civilian life, going to school on the GI Bill, getting married, buying homes, they sought out the tastes they remembered. This created unprecedented demand for Italian-American cuisine, with pizza at the forefront. Veterans would gather in Italian neighborhoods, seeking out existing pizzerias and encouraging the opening of new ones. They told friends and family about this amazing dish they'd discovered overseas. Word spread through communities as returning soldiers became evangelists for pizza. The timing was perfect. Post-war America was experiencing unprecedented prosperity, suburbanization, and mobility. The Federal Highway Act of 1956 connected the country with interstate highways, making it easier for food concepts to spread from city to city. The franchise business model was also emerging as a powerful force in American commerce, the birth of pizza chains, franchising the American dream. The 1950s marked the beginning of pizza's transformation from local specialty to national phenomenon through the power of franchising. This decade saw the birth of the pizza chains that would eventually make pizza a global commodity. Shakey's Pizza, founded in 1954, was among the earliest pizza chains, establishing the template for rapid expansion through franchising. However, it was Pizza Hut that would truly revolutionize the pizza industry. In 1958, two college students at Wichita State University, brothers Frank and Dan Carney, borrowed $600 from their mother to open a small pizza restaurant in Wichita, Kansas. The building looked like a hut and had room for only 9 letters on the sign, so they called it Pizza Hut. The name was born of necessity, but it proved remarkably memorable and marketable. The Carney brothers understood that franchising was the future of the food industry. They had witnessed the rapid growth of McDonald's, which began franchising in 1955, Kentucky Fried Chicken, 1952, and Burger King, 1954. Pizza Hut opened its first franchised location just 1 year after serving its first pizza. The brothers also recognized the importance of standardization and brand recognition. They commissioned architect Richard Burke to design a distinctive red roof building style that became synonymous with Pizza Hut. Burke charged $100 for every store built with his design, a decision that would eventually earn him substantial income as Pizza Hut expanded to thousands of locations. By 1971, Pizza Hut had become the #1 pizza restaurant chain in the world in both sales and number of restaurants. The company's success demonstrated pizza's broad appeal beyond Italian-American communities and proved that pizza could be successfully standardized and mass-produced while maintaining quality and popularity. Domino's Pizza began its journey in 1960 when Tom Monaghan and his brother James purchased Dominic's, a pizza store in Ypsilanti, Michigan, for $900. Tom bought out his brother's share a year later and renamed the business Domino's Pizza in 1965. Domino's would eventually challenge Pizza Hut's dominance by focusing on delivery service and speed. These chains introduced innovations that would transform the pizza industry. Pizza Hut pioneered the pan pizza in 1980, featuring a thicker crust baked in deep pans. In 1995, they introduced stuffed crust pizza, which became an instant sensation. Domino's revolutionized delivery with their famous 30 minutes or it's free guarantee and later became pioneers in online ordering. The franchise model allowed pizza to spread rapidly across America and eventually around the world. Each franchise location could adapt to local tastes while maintaining brand consistency. This flexibility proved crucial as pizza expanded internationally. Going global. Pizza conquers the world. Pizza's international expansion began in earnest during the 1960s and 1970s as American pizza chains looked beyond domestic markets for growth opportunities. The first international Pizza Hut opened in Canada, followed by locations in Australia, the United Kingdom, and throughout Europe. This global expansion required significant adaptations to local tastes, ingredients, and cultural preferences. In Japan, pizza chains introduced toppings like seaweed, squid, and teriyaki chicken. Indian pizzerias developed tandoori chicken and paneer toppings with spicy sauces adapted to local palates. Brazilian locations offered sweet pizzas topped with chocolate and fruit. Pizza's adaptability proved to be one of its greatest strengths. Unlike many foods that rely on specific ingredients or preparation methods, pizza's basic concept, flatbread topped with sauce, cheese, and various toppings, could accommodate virtually any local flavor preference. This flexibility allowed pizza to succeed in diverse cultural contexts while maintaining its essential identity. The globalization of pizza also created interesting reverse influences on American pizza culture. As chains expanded internationally and encountered local food traditions, some of those innovations eventually made their way back to American menus. California-style pizza, for example, emerged partly from the influence of global food trends on American palates. By the 1980s, pizza had achieved true global status. Major chains operated on every continent except Antarctica, and local pizza traditions were developing in countries around the world. Pizza had become a universal language of comfort food, adaptable to any culture while maintaining its essential appeal. The technology revolution. Modern pizza innovation. The late 20th and early 21st centuries brought technological innovations that further transformed the pizza industry. Pizza Hut introduced PizzaNet in 1994, one of the first experiments in internet ordering that revolutionized food service technology. This innovation predated the e-commerce boom and set the stage for the digital transformation of the restaurant industry. Online ordering platforms, mobile apps, and GPS tracking systems have made pizza more convenient than ever. Domino's Pizza Tracker, introduced in the 2000s, allowed customers to follow their order's progress from preparation to delivery in real time. These technological advances helped solidify pizza's position as the ultimate convenience food. The 2010s saw a surge in artisanal and craft pizza movement, with independent pizzerias emphasizing high-quality ingredients, traditional techniques, and unique flavor combinations. This trend coincided with growing consumer interest in food quality, authenticity, and local sourcing. Wood-fired ovens made a comeback in upscale establishments, while plant-based and gluten-free options expanded pizza's accessibility. Recent innovations have included robotic pizza makers, drone delivery experiments, and even pizza vending machines. These technologies demonstrate how the industry continues to evolve while maintaining pizza's essential appeal as quick, delicious, and satisfying food. Cultural impact and recognition. Pizza's cultural significance has gained formal recognition in recent years. In 2017, UNESCO inscribed the art of Neapolitan pizza making on its representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. This recognition honored not the dish itself, but the traditional craft and cultural practices surrounding authentic Neapolitan pizza preparation. The Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, AVPN, established in Italy, works to protect and promote traditional Neapolitan pizza standards worldwide. Their certification ensures that pizzas labeled as Neapolitan meet specific requirements for ingredients, preparation methods, and oven temperatures. Pizza has also become deeply embedded in popular culture, featured in countless movies, television shows, and songs. It represents more than food. It symbolizes comfort, community, celebration, and shared experiences across cultures and generations. The economics of pizza today. Pizza represents a massive global industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually. In the United States alone, pizza sales exceed $50 billion per year, with Americans consuming approximately 3 billion pizzas annually. That breaks down to about 46 slices per person per year, or roughly 1 slice per person per week. The industry supports millions of jobs worldwide, from pizza makers and delivery drivers to farmers growing pizza ingredients. Major chains like Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Papa John's operate thousands of locations globally, while countless independent pizzerias serve local communities. Pizza's economic impact extends beyond restaurants to include ingredient suppliers, packaging companies, equipment manufacturers, and technology providers. The rise of food delivery apps has created entire new industries around pizza distribution and logistics, modern challenges, and future directions. Contemporary pizza faces several challenges and opportunities. Health consciousness has led to innovations in nutritionally improved options, including cauliflower crusts, whole grain bases, and vegetable-forward toppings. Environmental concerns have prompted sustainable packaging initiatives and locally sourced ingredient programs. The COVID-19 pandemic actually boosted pizza sales as people sought comfort food and reliable delivery options during lockdowns. This period accelerated technological adoption and highlighted pizza's role as a source of stability and normalcy during uncertain times. Looking ahead, the pizza industry continues evolving through automation, sustainability initiatives, and global flavor fusion. Artificial intelligence is being used to optimize delivery routes and predict demand, while virtual restaurants and ghost kitchens are changing how pizza reaches consumers. Conclusion: more than just food. From ancient Persian warriors baking cheese and dates on battle shields to modern consumers tracking their delivery via smartphone apps, pizza's journey spans millennia and continents. What began as practical sustenance for ancient peoples has evolved into one of humanity's most beloved and universal foods. Pizza's success isn't accidental. Its genius lies in its fundamental simplicity and infinite adaptability. The basic concept, bread, sauce, cheese, toppings, provides a canvas for cultural expression while maintaining essential comfort food appeal. Whether it's a traditional Neapolitan margherita or an adventurous Korean bulgogi pizza, the format remains familiar while flavors adapt to local preferences. Perhaps most remarkably, pizza has maintained its democratic character throughout its evolution. While upscale artisanal versions command premium prices, pizza remains fundamentally accessible. It's still possible to get a satisfying slice for just a few dollars, making it one of the few foods that truly crosses all economic and social boundaries. Pizza represents more than culinary evolution. It embodies human creativity, adaptability, and the power of simple ideas to spread across cultures. From ancient flatbreads to space station deliveries, yes, Pizza Hut actually delivered pizza to the International Space Station, this humble dish continues surprising us with its versatility and enduring appeal. Today, as you bite into your next slice, remember that you're participating in a tradition stretching back thousands of years, connecting you to ancient bakers, medieval traders, Italian immigrants, World War II soldiers, entrepreneurial brothers from Kansas, and millions of pizza lovers around the world. That's the real magic of pizza. It's not just food, it's a shared human experience that brings people together, one slice at a time. The story of pizza is far from over. As global food cultures continue merging and evolving, as technology opens new possibilities, and as new generations discover the joy of that perfect bite combining crispy crust, tangy sauce, and melted cheese, pizza will undoubtedly continue adapting and surprising us. After all, if Persian warriors could turn battle shields into pizza ovens and two college students with $600 could build a global empire, who knows what the next chapter of pizza history will bring? One thing's certain, wherever humans gather to share food and create community, pizza will be there, bringing people together one delicious slice at a time.